Welcome back. This episode, I just want to do a quick little video to give you guys a nice short, uh, probably about one third of the way through the season, between I think about 30% exactly, just over 40 games in. So it's been really cool to see some of the hot starts we've had. I thought I'd talk about just about three hot start teams, a couple teams that are struggling a little bit, just see what the landscape's been throughout the first month or two and what we can expect going forward. Then we'll probably make another video at the trade deadline once we're about halfway to a little bit past that throughout the season. We have a really good start here so far out of probably the one thing that jumps out is the Los Angeles Angels. 30-13. Really love how they built that ball club. They got a really athletic team. Ton of good guys in the middle of the field there defensively. Brandon Marsh, really solid. Rodriguez off to like an MVP type start. And then in the middle of the field there, you got Marte and what's the other guy here? Marte and Mayer there with some dominant defense. 75 range and 65 range in the middle of the field there for those two spots. Just been incredible. Topped them all the way up there to second place defense in the league so far, and really good pitching. Those top two guys especially have been monstrous. McCullers and Bruno. The really good defense helping those guys put up monster seasons. And Ben Bowden's has been huge in the bullpen with a 1.1 ERA. So between that, you got the big power, 30 home runs combined so far to Crum and Rodriguez, which is crazy. Brian Anderson's had a monster year. He's on pace for a 4.7 WAR and playing every single game at DH, no third base appearances. So that's been crazy out of his profile. You probably would expect more of like a 105, 110 OPS plus guy compared to a 140. So he's been producing at a huge level, really helped them out, which is awesome. So that's been part of the reason for the big start in Los Angeles. Two really good pitchers, really solid lineup. I think they're like second place or first place in batting average. Really good base runners, athletic, good defense, really solid all-around team. No big weak spots there. It's been surprising to see Texas down in fourth. They were my preseason prediction to win that division, but they're not too far off. It's just been such a strong division with all four of those teams being well above 500. Been really good baseball going on there in the West, as we kind of predicted the AL to be a little bit better this year. The AL Central, though, has not been. They've been struggling quite a bit. Nice to see Cleveland on top there. Face that's been rebuilding for a few years. They got a lot of young talent, five key young building blocks to build around. They got the monster third baseman Bianco. Hunter Bishop's been having pretty close to an MVP season. Him and Julio are the early favorites for MVP in the AL there. Just been having crazy offensive seasons. Rattray looks like a young superstar there in center field. Might be one of the best players in baseball. Honestly, with that profile, I think he maybe a year or two from now could be a top 10 player in the league. I think he's that good. He's a guy that can steal like 30, 40 bases with that profile. Play in the top 10 center fielder defensively in baseball with that big time range and athleticism. And offensively, he's probably going to be a top 5 or 10 center fielder. So right across the board there, I think he's a guy that had like a 130 OPS plus, play elite defense, steal 30, 40 bases. That's the profile of like a 7 WAR MVP candidate. That's how good this guy could be. So really monstrous profile. Craziest thing about him is how good his bat is. He doesn't strike out that much. So get him 70 avoid K with that kind of power and contact at center field. Just incredible talent. So really excited to see how he develops. And Yarbrough should be one of the better shortstops in baseball with a big approach, really good defense, huge base runner, huge stealing. So ton of athleticism. Those two guys are super exciting. And Tanner Witt's one of my favorite young pitchers in baseball. Eddie Billings is one of my favorite also. So we got two really special young arms and two really young talented guys in Bianca and the center fielder there, and then Yarbrough is the fifth guy. So those are the five guys I kind of want to highlight. Just a monstrous talented team there. And then they have two of the best young pitchers in baseball coming up too. Dave Ortiz should be one of the better under 25-year-old pitchers in baseball over the next few years. And then Randolph is right up there with one of the top pitching prospects in baseball also. So between those four guys, you got Witt, Billings, and those two, I think that team could really build a perennial playoff contender there. They're going to be really strong over the next few years, so it's exciting to see. Chicago's struggling a little bit, but they're still about 500, but they just really struggled this season with the bats. They've really missed what's his name there? Really missed some juice in the middle of the lineup there. So I was trying to say they have Vaughn and Moncada still, and Pacheco. Pacheco's struggling a little more than last season. Last season he had almost 6 WAR. This year he's on pace for 2.2. So he should be able to pick it up, though. He's still got a monster profile, just a little bit of a slow start. Still got Madrigal and Tyree Reed and some really athletic contact hitters, but they just don't seem to be able to hit home runs this year. 13th in the league in home runs, so that's kind of what's holding them back a little bit. But they still have those huge three arms having good seasons and a couple of really good hitters in Andrew Vaughn, Moncada, and Pacheco. I still think they should be able to recover, be really competitive there for the division title with Cleveland. We'll see which one of those teams can play better down the stretch here. And the real surprise here for me has been the AL East. I know they're a pretty solid division, but even better than I thought. Really exciting to see how well the Orioles, Jays, Expos, and Yankees have all played. 2-5 have been so strong. Last place team having 19 wins, where every other division baseball, no fifth place team is over 15, as you can see here. Washington, the Dodgers. So it's been really strong top to bottom, which makes the Red Sox 30-10 start even more impressive. If they were in a division like the Central, they could literally have like a 38-5 season or something crazy. That's just been an incredible season out of them, even with a strong division. So really cool to see the AL being a lot better in the West and the East. The Central still got some work to catch up to do, but those two divisions have been really good, and the AL's really started to even out with the NL. Been a lot stronger, in my opinion, the NL the last pretty much every year for the last 4 or 5 years. But the AL's looking pretty close to the NL this season for sure in those two divisions if you took those 10 teams against each other. So really cool to see, especially Oakland. It's one team I didn't really mention either. I went on about Los Angeles for a while, but Oakland's been really impressive too at 23-17 there. They're well above 500. Had some really good pitching, really good defense there. So really awesome squad they built up too. So it was really exciting to see some of those teams in the AL West start to compete after the Rangers and Astros been the division winners almost every year since the start. And then in the NL, we have the typical East and West, both been really, really good. Actually, I should say about the East this year, we've been struggling a little bit more than usual. I think all three of these teams here below 500, surprising. They're really good ball clubs. Washington's one of the slowest starts so far. Them and Pittsburgh probably been the two biggest question marks at the start of this season, playing well under their talent level. They both have a ton of talent, just haven't been able to put it all together this season with 50 and 17 wins with those clubs. Both should be a lot better than that. The Marlins have had a really solid start. They lost 4 in a row here to fall below 500, but they've been right around 500 all season. They got a lot of good players, just don't have quite the depth pitching-wise to be like a playoff team yet. But if they stay competitive here and go on a hot streak and pick up maybe an arm or something at the deadline, it'll be very interesting to see how they finish off the season. The Mets been really struggling defensively, which has really held them back. Last place in the league in zone range. Pitching-wise hasn't been as good as it should be, probably affected by that defense a little bit. Offensively, it's hard to hit in that stadium, but they're a little bit below average offensively too. But talent-wise, it should be a little better than this. They got some real stars on this team. They got Weber and Rizzo. And then they got the big pitchers there, Barrios and Escada and Diamond. Really, really solid rotation, 1-5. Really a lot of contact hitters in this lineup. You got a bunch of guys that just hit above with 55 contact ratings, a bunch of athleticism there. Weber and Hassel and Maury, all those guys are good hitters. So this team should be a little bit better than 500 in my opinion. Just that defense has really been struggling. So I think maybe they need to make a move there and improve the either shortstop or center field defense there. That was really kind of hurting them, I think. Other than that, you got me and the Braves there competing at the top. I was starting to catch up to the Braves last few sims, but they've just been so good all year. It's really tough. An amazing team they put together there. Mauricio and Jackson, 2 acquisitions in the offseason. Jackson coming up from the minors and Mauricio in a trade from Pittsburgh. Been huge, huge talents. Jackson's probably right up there for Rookie of the Year. An incredible player, one of the best young players in baseball. Kind of like the similar profile to Rattray in Cleveland, another guy that could be like a 4 or 5 WAR player over the next few years. Just a monstrous defensive profile with really solid hitting. Really, really good right across the board. On base for 24 home runs in center field there as a rookie with plus defense and plus running and plus avoid K and plus contact. Just everything you do, he's good at. So just a really, really, really special player. And then with those 5 pitchers they have, they're going to be on pace to win over 100 games for sure. I don't know if I can be able to catch them. My team's played pretty well here too. I'm second in earned run average and pretty much the second worst hitters park in all baseball. So the pitching has just been deadly. Runs allowed, first against in 149. The pitching just been awesome. Hitting wise, I'm in the top 5 for most categories here. Second in home runs, third in batting average, 5th in overall WAR. So in the top third of the NL in offense, and then right up there in pitching, a couple of those categories. Third place in bullpen ERA. So really, really solid pitching so far out of me. I'm kind of middle of the pack on defense. So been an interesting season so far. I just had a really hot couple of weeks here sweeping the San Diego, which was really nice. Losing a couple to Cincinnati was tough here. Got a huge sim coming up. The nice Texas team. Interested to see how that series goes. So been a nice little breakdown for everybody we've gone over in this episode here. I haven't had a chance to talk about all the teams. I didn't want to just make this episode super long. Just want to give a quick breakdown as we're only about a third of the way through the season. Probably going to do a longer episode throughout the year, maybe at the trade deadline or post-draft or something. So that's it for now. Just kind of want to go over some of those hot starts. Cheers.